Hello out there, Classic Vinyl Collectibles with another video for you. And I'm continuing with my New Wave Synth-pop collection as I'm going from A to Z. So most of these videos are going to be titled the same but with different parts. And I've already done my sections from A all the way up to N, and we're continuing with N as well. This last video that I just did was a lot of Ministry, New Order, and a lot of those artists. But we're continuing here with N, going to be going into Pet Shop Boys, OMD. So let's go ahead and get started here. And before I get going, if you like my videos, you've seen all the other ones I've done, all of my Duran Duran and other videos that I've done of New Wave and Synth Pop. Start over from the very first video if you'd like to binge watch some of these, and you'll see what I have. Behind the laptop here is a lot more records. It's all of my 80s collection of electro, freestyle, breakbeat, new wave, industrial, Italo disco, and then all this behind me is all from rave parties back in the 90s. But let's get going here. So subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notifications, and I'll get future videos out to you as well. So let's get started. In 1988, there was a style that was coming out that was called New Beat, and it was very electronic, very electro. A lot of it was coming from Belgium, and I think this one is from, yeah, this one's from Belgium as well. This is New Egypt, Flight to Egypt. And I remember picking this up at a store called Record Rack in San Francisco. It was at 18th and Sanchez. That really was the place to go, as well as a place called Bushwhack's. BPM was another great record store. They're all gone right now, sadly, but they just didn't survive, I guess, the whole download age. But now the records have come back. It's nice to start seeing vinyl make its comeback. But this is, if you like German techno, some of that European synth pop that was coming out in the late 80s, this was a great track. So look that one up. And I suggest to all of my viewers, if you would like to build an 80s collection and you don't know where to get started, watch my videos. Take a look at the very first one, and that is part one of my New Wave Synth Pop. And just take it from there, all the way through Depeche Mode, Duran Duran. Gosh, what else we got? Blamage, Dead or Alive, Book of Love. So I would write some of this stuff down. This was a band here that opened up for Depeche Mode, I believe at the Cow Palace. They shout. Their music is very heavy on the German electronic, and that is Reeb. And when they opened for Depeche Mode, I believe my cousin, he was there, and he said the singer was wearing shorts, just shorts and a t-shirt, and his hair was slicked back, and he was just shouting on the microphone. If you know anything about Reeb, usually that's their sound. I don't know if this is the guy, but this one's called Manoeuvres. This has got just electronic loop sequencers all over it. It is just pumping and flowing, rotating and throbbing. It's hard to describe these songs, but that's what it is. It's just very, very busy. Control, I'm Here, another great one from Reeb. The synths that are used in this sound like, again, like they're whipping. They're just whipping and whooshing sounds with the drum machine that they're using. But this, I don't like to say singer, this vocalist, he doesn't ever sing. There's a difference between singing and shouting. But the guy who's their front vocalist, let's say, he's on all of these. Join in the Chant is another one. I think this was probably one of their biggest singles that they had. It repeats Join in the Chant, Join in the Chants. And it's got a very throbbing bass line to it. I don't understand the cover of it, but whatever. Another one is Lightning Man, Waiting for the Lightning Man to Strike. I'm just going to say, look up Reeb. I hate stickers. Where is it? I hate stickers. Sometimes I don't pay attention on Discogs. It'll say SOC or SOL, which is sticker on label. By the way, that's another video that I should do, is how to use Discogs. This is where a lot of DJs get their records from. There's another buddy of mine that does YouTube videos. His collection is just like mine. It's a lot of different records, but from the same time period. We both collect the same kind of records. If you want to look him up, Classic Jams is his channel. It starts with a K. So look up Classic Jams. You like my videos, look at his. But I know he buys from Discogs. A lot of us DJs buy from Discogs just because our record stores aren't around anymore like they used to. We used to crate dig for hours. Remember that? You can be in there for hours on the floor squatting down, just flipping through records or just coming out with a big stack. But back to Discogs, if you really know how to use that site, you can create a want list. You can find multiple items that you want from even just one seller. But Discogs is a site where you can get this kind of thing into your house, into your collection. It's expensive and it can drain your bank account if you're not careful. But if you want to build a record collection and you know what you're doing, go to Discogs. But by all means, watch out for this. If you don't want stickers all over everything. We did this when we were DJing, we're doing clubs, even this. We put BPMs. We just weren't knowledgeable enough to know what went together until after time. You didn't need this anymore. BPMs. Reeb, Lightning Man. Let Your Body Learn. Another great one by them. So, Reeb. That's my Reeb collection right there. Look up all of those. Lightning Man, Join in the Chant, Murderous, Let Your Body Learn, Control, I'm Here, and Fun to Be Had is another one. This is produced by this girl here, Madonna, and this is Nick Kamen. It's on Sire Records. If you know the song Get Into the Groove by Madonna, it sounds a lot like this one, Each Time You Break My Heart. I first heard this played at an Asian club in San Francisco. The whole place was just all Asians. I hung around with a lot of Asian friends since high school, so I sort of gravitated to what they were listening to, especially Italo Disco, Modern Talking, Bad Boys Blues, CC Catch, Fancy, all that stuff. That was really big in Europe. But look this one up. Nick Kamen, Each Time You Break My Heart, especially if you like anything that's on the Sire label. I first heard this track when I had my boombox, and it is always something there to remind me. I had my boombox. I was going to school. That's right, I took my boombox to school. I think it was confiscated, but I was only maybe 16. And I was on Live 105. It was 105.5 in the Bay Area out of San Francisco, and they were playing all just new wave and synth pop. That's what the radio station catered to. And the track here was Always Something There to Remind Me. I think everybody knows that song. And then there's, wow, I didn't even know I had this single. I almost bought another one. Didn't even know I had this, but here's the single right here. This is what I wanted to show you was, I don't know where that glare's coming from. Maybe it's the time of day, but here's the single. The other one I showed you was the album. They had their other one that was a little bit more in the adult contemporary kind of sound for mainstream, was You Made Me, Promises, Promises, Naked Eyes. I hear this one even played at Walmart. Great club track. Not as fast as Always Something There to Remind Me, but the sound is kind of like The Fix, or trying to think of their Psychedelic Furs. This one here, NoHo, Touch. This is a remake from a band, I think they were out of Scotland. They were called Secession. Their version I love way better. It's called Touch, and it's a really much darker sound of a synth pop track by Secession called Touch. This one is the remake by NoHo. It's heavier, still a really decent club track, and my buddy played this at the club he was a DJ at in Alameda. I don't know if I was the one who bought it or if we both bought it. That was those times where if you had a record collection and he had a record collection or she had their collection, you put them all together, and it was just amazing of what we were all collecting at that time. So moving on here is The Nails. Can't really see it. 88 lines about 44 women. The guy's not rapping, but he is rhyming. It's 2 lines for every 1 woman. Really incredible track. I heard this first on the Quake, KQAK, in the Bay Area. It's kind of tribal, a little bit, but the stuff he's talking about is really wild. I don't know if it's true of what he's talking about, but all the women he mentions, 44 women, he's got 2 lines for each girl. This one here was played by Steve Masters on Live 105, where he was the DJ back in the late 80s. And Steve Masters was a great DJ. He would go record shopping, and he would mix all this stuff on his mix show. This one came out, No Panic, sorry, Give Me Your Lips. The beat of this one is right up there with Wild Boys, Duran Duran, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax. It's just that slower pound. But how can I describe this? It's very seductive. Let's just say that. This track here. Look that one up. I got that one mint condition. It's always nice when you get mint condition records. So like I said earlier about Discogs, when you're shopping on that site, look for media grade. You got good, well no, actually you got poor, good, and there's fair, very good plus, near mint, and mint condition. Depends on how much you want to pay, but don't get garbage. Don't get ones with stickers all over them like I have, or torn record covers. Pay the extra money and get yourself a really nice collection. Now we have Orbit, and the beat goes on. This was a song that was done by Sonny and Cher on their Sonny and Cher show. This one here has got a lot of hard beats to it, and of course they're singing the chorus and the beat goes on. If you would like to play an 80s party, I would fit this into it. You'll know what I'm talking about when you hear it. Who is a fan of OMD, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark? I love this track here. Let's see if you can see it. I got quite a glare because of the afternoon sun, but Locomotion, really great track by OMD. If you'd like to look that one up, really cute girl on the cover. I don't know who she is, but she's fantastic looking. I always like picture covers. I'm not a big fan of generic covers. I don't really have much, but if you can find a record with a picture cover to it, that's always better to have. Or if you can leave the shrink on and not rip it off like I do, you can still have, where is it, the hype sticker. That's called a hype sticker. Japan's records are different. Their version of a hype sticker is the whole OBI sleeve that's wrapped around this. That's Japan's version of one of these. It just tells you some information about it. But if you can leave the shrink on with that sticker, later on, if you're looking for the value of the record, it certainly much goes up, much better. Or if you can leave it sealed, but who ever has much sealed records? I'm going to save that one unless you saw it. But this one here, a little bit later than their other album they had with So in Love and Dreaming, or Secret. This one is Dreaming. Great track by them. I don't remember his name, Andrew Mikulski, maybe that was his name, but I Was Only Dreaming. Great song by them, OMD. I am very partial to this track right here, and I smile because it just reminds me of high school. It's got to be, 1985. What a great time that was. I keep expanding on that because this was when life was good. To be a teenager in the 80s, especially the mid-80s, Depeche Mode was huge on the scene. ABC, Duran Duran, that's after Seven and the Ragged Tiger. But these guys, Secret, look up the song. And I'm going to use the word cute because it is a very cute synth-pop track. Very innocent. Kind of up there with Book of Love stuff. But this was when, being a teenager in high school, when we were pinning our pant legs tight at the bottom, that whole new wave made-up look that went very mainstream. We were all forking out our hair and trying to look like these artists. Along with that track is this one, So in Love. These guys had a sound of their own, OMD. I remember, and I'll show you their first album here, I remember they were saying they were trying so hard to get a hit song, and others were just passing them up. Then they started coming out with this, and this is So in Love. Hard to believe I was so in love with you. I just really wish music could be made like this. I'm not going to go down that hole. A lot of wishing. Now, putting that aside, let's take out... No, I don't know where it is. Maybe it's another one of those records I can say I used to have and I don't have it anymore. It happens. I don't know how. Things just disappear. But here's their album, Crush. And this one has So in Love, Secret, Women 3. That's my favorite song off of this. Look up OMD Women 3. It's just got the notches. 1, 2, 3, the Roman italics. But look up that track. Women 3. I was looking for the song from Pretty in Pink. And as I Touch You Once, I Touch You Twice. I don't remember the title of it. It escapes me, but so does the record. I had it here. OMD Tesla Girls. Fast song. This was in, I believe, Weird Science, just playing in the background. And I think it's when the stars were in the mall. Robert Downey Jr. and great track though. It's faster. Tesla Girls. Junk Culture, OMD, another fantastic album where Tesla Girls came from, and it's got Locomotion on it. Their first album though was Dazzle Ships. This is kind of more of an experimental album, I can tell. They were kind of experimenting with electronics. It's got a lot of sound effects, samples in it. But the great song on this is Of All the Things We've Made. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's a very sad sounding, melancholic song with just a strumming guitar throughout it and a banging of a tom-tom drum and this really sad piano. But let me just say it's a beautiful song. To wonder of all the things we've made. It just chokes me up talking about it. I heard that at a friend's house in Alameda. She was this really cute girl that I'd go over her house and listen to her records. She had New Order, Power, Corruption, and Lies, and she had that album. And I was thinking, what a great time this is. I don't know any of this stuff, but I'm getting caught up. And so I got Dazzle Ships. This was part of that 7-Eleven series in about 1987. There was 4 of them that I had. The first one was Voyou Hausmann, Germany is Calling. Heavy German electronic track, great for the dance floor. And this is a remix because once again I wasn't paying attention on Discogs and I got the die cut, which is fine, but the original one had orange, all solid orange, not a remix, with the number 2, and this is okay, kind of more up there in the Italo disco kind of sound, like C'est Tu J'avoue. And there was 4 of them. There was also Voyou, Radio Bostich, great song. One Day in My Life, and JWD Hits the Beat, and then Okay, and then Voyou Hausmann. Those are the 4 that I had. 1, 2, 3, You're Just a Runaway. I think this is Bobby Orlando. Bobby O did a lot of productions and releases back in the early to the fairly mid-80s. I heard this on the Quake, KQAK. It's kind of like a rendition of, I think, The Human League's Don't You Want Me. The story is kind of the same. I helped you out, picked you up out of where you were, gave you a chance. But I like the chorus of it. I don't know who's singing, but it's a guy's voice that's singing, You're Just a Runaway, Running Away. It really caught my ear. Back then when I heard it on the radio, I had to get it. And I don't mind generic covers as long as they say something on it. The Prelude record label, great label, by the way, back then. Now, if you like The Fix, Ice House, Roxy Music, do you remember Paul Young? And I'm not talking about Every Time You Go Away, You Take a Piece of Me With You. I'm talking Come Back and Stay for Just One Night, or One Day, whatever it is. Look this song up. And I'm going to put this back to back with Ice House, No Promises, that song, and then his right here, Come Back and Stay. Kind of a sad song what he's talking about, but what a great time. When this came out, it was a great time to be in the 80s. Obviously, I missed that decade. Now, moving on to 2 guys in a band. They came up with their title of their band name by being in a store, a pet store. Guess where I'm going with this? A buddy of mine told me, he said this was like the pinnacle, or the epitome of LA nightclubs. You put this on and this pretty much set the stage for what the club scene was like anywhere. You play this in any club at that time and it's a floor filler. And it's not their first song, but I would say it's their first major hit. My cousin came home with the 45 record, popped it onto the record player that had the arm that came over and the record dropped down. This is if you didn't have DJ turntables. You had mom and dad's record player. Well, Pet Shop Boys, West End Girls. This song stands out aside from anything else that has ever been made. This is right up there with like New Order's Blue Monday and quite a few others. Now, I'm going to go back to talking about the Palladium. When we were at the Palladium, I used to take my girlfriend there at the time. We frequented that club a lot. That's all we had. We didn't have rave parties yet over here. And we'd already been to the theater and saw all the movies. So where else was there to go was clubs. So I'm at the Palladium, and the screen came down. It was coming down slowly. The video of this came on, and it's Where the Streets Have No Name, Pet Shop Boys. And I'm going to describe this as a bangin', throbbing electro sequencer track remake of U2's Where the Streets Have No Names. Now, some people have said on the video in the comments, why did they butcher it? You should have left it alone. No, Pet Shop Boys did quite the justice to it. If you could find the video, it's mostly in black and white, and Neil Tennant's head is really large, and his face is just all white, and the rest of the features are in black. And when he comes in with I Want to Run, it's just banging. And a great track. And when I saw that on the screen, I thought, what is this? Pet Shop Boys came out with another track. And I'm not really into LPs, but here's their album called Please, kind of a greatest hits. If you like greatest hits and you want to get a collection of somebody's works, get that one. My buddy from Classic Jams also showed this one on one of his videos, and that was Opportunities. I got the brawn, you got the brain, let's make lots of money. What a fun song this was. Opportunities, let's make lots of money. What a great voice he's got too. Was It Worth It? Another great track by them. I'm not sure how well it did in the clubs. I think I played it a few times. I was just really kind of hung up on their other tracks. Was It Worth It? This is up there with It's a Sin, loud Italo synth track, Italo disco track. It's a Sin, but this one here is Was It Worth It? And somehow I ended up with two of these. Okay. So I got two. That's the thing about having a large collection. If you're not sure that you positively have it, and you start getting a bunch of records from one seller, you end up just adding a cart, adding a cart, adding a cart. You come home with, you know, something like this, and you're going through it and you find out, wow, now I got two of them. So I'm going to go back to Discogs. When you're using Discogs, add to collection, and I think it takes it out of your want list. That way you don't end up buying it twice. So that's one way to use that site. Here we go again with Opportunities, Let's Make Lots of Money. This was more of just the solid cover, not so much the picture. Left to My Own Devices, I Probably Could. Great track. I love this one, and especially Suburbia. It's got the dogs barking in it, I think sirens. It really builds up and builds up. It gets louder and goes right into the music. And that one is Suburbia. This one here is And Left to My Own Devices. I don't quite remember the words of it though, but another great track. And then our last record here, when I had that boombox radio of mine, I was flipping through the college radio stations. I was trying to find anything other than metal, heavy metal. I liked it all back then, but it all just kind of sounded the same to me. New wave and synth pop and what disco had turned into got to be a little bit more experimental in the 80s. You didn't know what was coming out. So much different stuff. I mean, think about it. Safety Dance, One Night in Bangkok. Hey, Taco putting on the Ritz. Whoever thought they would do something like that. But then I'm getting to my record here, Pet Shop Boys. Give Me one more chance. And this has that wobbling sequencer synth track. It's hard to say. Give me one more chance tonight. Don't look up anything else other than just the original, or it might even be the LP version. Sometimes remixes just don't do the original justice. Alright, that is that stack of records right there. So, hope you like what you saw. I hope you wrote some of them down, or at least as far as the records, look them up on YouTube, and if you're collecting vinyl, look at what I have. See if it sounds like something you want to get, and I suggest using that site. I'm going to say it once again, Discogs, because that is somewhat one of the last sites to go to where you can really find people who are selling their collections, and there's millions on there. It's just knowing about how to find your sellers, and you as a buyer can build what I have behind me and what's behind the camera there and everyone else's collection. Just be careful of breaking the bank. It can happen. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button, notifications. I'll get future videos out to you. Nice showing you what I have. Thank you.